So now we'll just talk about Asia, both the approach and trends. Unlike Europe, there is no regional approach or regional controlling philosophy in Asia. Rather, you need to look at each country in Asia because the laws vary greatly. There also is a substantial amount of activity happening in privacy in Asia. We have new laws in Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Taiwan. Korea, which just recently modified its law, has now the strictest data security law in the world. It is very detailed and very precise, and if you're operating in Korea, it's very important to be cognizant of those obligations. Japan's focus in terms of enforcement has been on security, and Japan is in the process of revising and updating their law. Hong Kong has new enforcement authority being granted to the Data Protection Authority, and we anticipate seeing more action and more enforcement in Hong Kong. India has a privacy rule, and there is talk that India will adopt a new privacy law that is omnibus. It's not clear when that will happen, but there are likely to be changes in India. Australia just revised their law and has definitely indicated that there will be more enforcement coming. New Zealand obtained adequacy from the EU, and we do also anticipate there being changes in New Zealand. And China also has new regulatory guidelines, and they have several sectoral rules. So it's important if you're operating in China to also pay attention because the rules in China are changing very, very quickly. And finally, we're going to just talk about Latin America. Like Asia, Latin America does not have a regional approach or a uniform approach to privacy and data security. Rather, you need to look at every single country. The good news is that some of the countries, such as Argentina and Uruguay, have laws that are very much based on the EU model, particularly on the Spanish law. But there are new laws in Mexico, Peru, and Colombia, which are really quite different and are not based on the EU model. Colombia, for example, is almost entirely based on an opt-in consent model. The Mexican law is really quite different and quite innovative, and there has been significant enforcement already under the Mexican law. Chile has some privacy protections, although not a full omnibus law, and Brazil has been talking about a data protection law for a long time, but there currently is no data protection law in Brazil. So just to sum up, what you need to know is that there are lots and lots of privacy laws around the world. You do have to look at the specific country's laws to figure out what your obligations and rights are, and try and think broader than just the EU, because the world of privacy is really changing, particularly in Asia and Latin America.